The single greatest joy, pleasure, honor of my whole life has become a father. I have 3 beautiful children, and I take this responsibility more serious than anything, and I'm pretty darn serious with all of my responsibilities. And there's been 8 lessons that I've learned, and I'm sure over our life together, there'll be 80 lessons that I've learned, but 8 lessons that have made me the man, entrepreneur, and leader that I am. And I want to share them with you as a mother, as a father, or even just as a human. If you don't have children, these are such critical lessons for you. So the first lesson is there's only one form of attention, and it's called undivided. Undivided attention. There are so many people, I see this happening all the time in public, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I really strive for perfection in this area, where a parent is with their child, and the child's on the playground playing, and the parent's on their phone just aimlessly scrolling. Like, it's not like they're doing like a really important thing for their business or their life or their health or their finances. Like, they're like scrolling through TikTok, like aimlessly, while their child is playing on the playground, looking back at them, looking for their attention, looking for their acknowledgement, and not getting it. And you know what that child realizes in that moment? Is they're not important. And then that belief sticks with them. And then it shows up when they're looking to have a relationship with somebody, and they feel insecure that they're not significant enough to get the attention of that potential person. And then when they're in their career, they feel insignificant. And we might say, Jared, you're over embellishes. I'm not. There's only one form of attention. And that's not even just with your kids. That's with everything. It's called undivided. Be present. I see people at the gym that are doing a set and they're scrolling through their phone. Put your phone down. Be present. Undivided attention to the thing that you're focusing on. And if you have kids, get rid of your freaking phone. I mean it. Like, for me, at 5 o'clock when I get home, I take my phone, I leave it somewhere else, and I'm for 3 to 3.5 hours until they stop negotiating me before bed. I'm like a 6-year-old with them. And I'm almost perfect in the space. I don't even want the phone near me. I don't even want to be pulled toward it. I just want to give them 100% of my focus, so they feel like the most significant thing in my life, because guess what? They are. And I know that for your kids, they are as well. Just get rid of the phone and have undivided attention. So the second lesson that I've learned from my 3 kiddos is to never accept no as final. Now, if you have kids, you know what I mean, right? Like, you'll say no to TV, you'll say no to a snack, but like, no is not no. Like, your child's gonna come up with at least 74 reasons why you should say yes to what you just said no to. And for some reason, as we mature in life, we take no as final. Like, there's often times at a restaurant, I'll use that as an example, where the maitre d' at the restaurant says, I'm sorry, we have no space tonight. And what I do is I help them find space, because I don't take no as final. And you might be like, oh, it's so disrespectful, they're busy. No, like, I'm sitting down in that restaurant because no is one step closer to a yes. But so many adults take no as what is, like finite. And as a byproduct, they don't take that next step. And what if that next step was actually going to get you what you want? So what an incredible lesson that our children teach us, that they overturn everything that we say no to. And they don't do it once, and they don't do it twice. They persist until what? You say yes. The same way that you need to start persisting until you get yes to whatever it is that you desire. So the third lesson is that the only limitation that exists is the limitation of your own imagination. So when you drop that freaking phone and you go undivided, immersive attention with your child, and you get on their level, like you're a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, however old that they are, and you give them the permission to just go wild with their imagination, you start to see there's no limit to what's possible. Because in that one play experience, you go from being a witch to a doctor, to an astronaut, to a baseball player, to a dancer. Like, you go wild with their imagination. And all of a sudden, if you really are focused in that moment, you realize that everything in life, everything that you can't live without, was made by a man or woman just like you. The difference is they never had a limit on their imagination. They were told they were crazy. They were told they were manic. They were told that they were too ambitious, but they had no limit on what was possible. The same way that your child has no limit on anything because their imagination is boundless. So it's just so critical. that you start allowing your imagination to go boundless, and then you start to create things that others tell you are impossible, but that's only because they have a limit on their imagination. The fourth lesson that my 3 wonderful children have taught me is that there's always one more, and there's always one more, and there's always one more. And this is a really critical lesson for all of us to embrace, because when you put your kids to bed at night, right? If you have young children, you know exactly what I mean. There's always just one more. Daddy, one more hug. Daddy, one more kiss. Daddy, one more story. Daddy, one more flip. Daddy, one more sip of water. Daddy, one more time, tuck me in. And what do? I keep on doing it. I keep on giving them one more. And all of a sudden, the one more stacked to like 18 more, and we're 22 minutes after bedtime. But here's why this is such a critical lesson, because that's how you actually grow in life. One of the things that I used to share when I was a personal trainer and I was training my business school professors in college is that you need to always put in one more rep. Like the moment that you feel you have nothing left, you got to put in one more. Like you just have to. You have to go 1 point past the point of failure. 1 rep past the point of failure. The same holds true with sales calls. The moment that you're like, I'm done for the day, make one more sales call. The moment that you're done writing, write one more sentence. This is such a critical lesson that you just keep on putting in one more, one more, one more, because your one mores will stack. And that stacking effect creates a wedge between you and the rest of the world, or between you and the goal that you're ultimately trying to achieve, that you far surpass it. So every time that your kids are like one more, one more, one more, one more, give them the one more. Don't suppress the belief that one more is the path to get what they ultimately desire. So the 5th lesson is that you can handle way more than you ever thought possible. I mean, there are times, I have 3 young kids, 7, 5, and 14 months, where I'm holding the 14-month-old, I'm holding the 5-year-old, the 7-year-old's pulling on my shirt, and I'm at the supermarket going food shopping for the entire week. And people are looking at me, they're like, what is he doing? Like, why wouldn't he just go on his own? But the reality is, when you're a parent, you start to realize this. You can handle so much more than you ever thought possible. But the same holds true in every area of life. I mean, one of the things that I preach to our team, to our founders, to our shareholders is become an and person versus an or person. As long as the and is going to get you closer to where you want to get to faster. Because if you're going to pick and choose between the things you want in life, you're going to always have to make compromises. But when you're an and person and you keep on adding and adding and adding, your life becomes so much richer and more abundant and more experiential. And your children are the greatest people to teach you this lesson. Because if you actually did an audit of the amount of things that you're juggling when you have children, you start to realize that you can juggle pretty darn well. So add, become an and person versus an or person, because you're already doing that as a parent. So the 6th lesson that my 3 beautiful children have taught me is 2 words: I want. They have no qualms whatsoever asking for what they want. I mean, the worst place on planet Earth to take your child is Target. Anyone else have that experience? Like, there's nothing worse than Target. That store exists to ruin the life of parents because there's so many options, there's so many shiny objects. And on every aisle that you go down, my kids are like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I love that they have the courage to declare what they want. Because as you start to mature and grow, and there's like limits around what's socially responsible and the most effective way to do things, you start to limit asking for what you want. And the only way you ever get what you want is if you ask for what you want. You declare it. So for example, if you're in a space where you're selling something, which every one of you are, everyone's selling something at some point of their life, and you don't ask for the outcome, you don't go for the close, you don't get the close. No different than my children in Target. If they don't ask for the towel, the doll, and the game, they're not going to get any of them. Not going to think they even want them in the first place. So empower yourself the same way that your children are, the same way that my children are, to start asking for what you want. So the 7th lesson that Taylor, Riker, and Caden have shared with me and bestowed upon me and served me is asking for help. I mean, there's so many things that these kids know how to do, at least Taylor and Riker. Caden's only 14 months at the time of this video, or 15 months. But Taylor and Riker, they absolutely can get dressed. They absolutely can brush their teeth. They absolutely can do their hair. They absolutely can shower themselves. There's so many things that they are fully capable to do. Yet, they have no issue whatsoever with asking for help. But for some reasons, as we grow and mature, we think that asking for help is a sign of weakness. This is an area that I'm working on diligently. 100% of the success that I've produced to this point is because I've carried the weight of the world on my shoulders. And that's just how I did it. And I would get to the outcome, sometimes fatigued, sometimes bruised, sometimes bloody, but I would get there. And then I pursued an ambitious project that was too much for me to carry. Like, there's just no human that could squat what I committed to doing. Build, scale, exit 10,000 plus software companies. Like, come on now. Like, no one human could do that. So what does it force me to do? Exactly what my kiddos do every single night when they're putting on their pajamas, taking a bath, taking a shower, brushing their teeth, doing their hair. It requires me to ask for help. And what an incredible lesson it is to realize that asking for help is a sign of strength. It's a sign of self-awareness. And it's a gift to the person you're asking. Because the person you're asking wants to help you. They just don't know how. So when you're really direct with the ask, they feel special and significant and important because they were able to support you. The same way that when you brush your little daughter's hair or you brush your little son's teeth, you feel really significant in their life. Asking for help is a sign of power and strength. So the final lesson for now is to never allow your mental state to defeat your physical limits. Now, here's what I mean by this. There could be points that mentally, when you're with your children, and we're going to have this relate to other areas of life, where you feel like you got nothing left. But what you need to do is fight through physically. You need to fight through physically. There are times with my kids where I'm just so drained and fried. It's been a long day, but I will not let my mental state, my limiting beliefs affect how I show up with my kids. So I physically do things. I get into motion. I start doing jumping jacks. I run with them. I play with them. I do things to let my mind know that I'm the boss. And this holds true in every area of your life as well. There will be times that mentally you are spent, done. You don't want to do the other sales call. You don't want to show up to the investor meeting. You don't want to go to the gym. And what you need to do is get into high gear physically and let your mind know who's boss. You're boss. Your physical being is boss. Your limiting beliefs have no power over the physical specimen that you are. And my children have taught me this lesson because there's so many times that I'm spent mentally, but physically I show up, I take 100% responsibility, and I show my mind who's boss. So I hope that this benefited you. These are the 8 lessons that I've learned over the past 7 years of having a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 14-month-old. And like I said, I expect there to be 800 more that are layered on top of this, and I will share all of these with you. My hope and desire is that this is not a jacuzzi experience for you. You didn't just watch this video, you're like, oh, that's so inspiring. Thank you, Jared. I feel so great. Do something with it. Pick one of the lessons, apply it, and then watch how much your life improves. In addition, extract your own lessons from your children. They are our greatest teachers. They help us see what we don't see. They help us identify blind spots. They help us fill our voids because they are the ones that are just putting a spotlight on them. So use that as an opportunity to grow as a human, become a better version of yourself, and also recognize there's always someone watching. There's always someone listening, and there's always going to be someone that's going to model who you are. It's a huge responsibility. It's a wonderful honor. Be the most spectacular human, leader, entrepreneur, and parent as you could possibly be, and then a little bit more, because that's exactly what your children will embrace when they become a parent in the future as well. I hope this benefited you, and I can't wait to see what you're able to do with it as well. All right, bye for now.